Welcome back. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to Retail Horror Stories. Hit the like button and drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is for you. That way, YouTube knows to keep showing you more stories like this. Now, let's begin. The Rivergate Mall had been dead for years, boarded up, forgotten, a ghost box of stores and echoes. This year, a new company decided to bring it back for one night only, a massive Black Friday midnight event. Eddie Lawson, a former mall security guard, signed on just for the paycheck. "Keep the crowd calm," they said. "Don't let anyone in early." Easy work, he thought, until he saw the crowd. By 11, hundreds of people packed against the glass doors, their faces lit by the flickering mall lights, their breath fogging the windows. Every few seconds, someone pounded on the glass. The sound rattled through the empty halls like a warning. Eddie made one last patrol. The intercom echoed a cheerful pre-recorded message. "Doors open at midnight. Get ready for the savings." As he passed dark storefronts covered in reopening sale banners, the place smelled like dust and fresh paint. 11:59. A countdown voice started over the speakers. 10, 9, 8. The crowd outside joined in, screaming. Eddie braced himself near the entrance. 3, 2, 1. The glass doors slid open. The crowd became a tidal wave. Screams, bags, flying elbows. A rack of coats toppled. Someone fell, vanishing beneath the stampede. Eddie yelled for backup, but his radio only hissed static. Then, the lights went out. Pitch black, except for the faint red glow of exit signs. A few flashlights flickered. For the first time all night, the crowd stopped moving. That's when Eddie heard it. Whispering. Dozens of voices, soft, overlapping, coming from behind the locked storefronts. He swung his flashlight toward an old clothing store, Maple and Company, a unit that was supposed to be vacant. Behind the gate, something moved. He leaned closer. A pale face pressed against the glass, smiling too wide, eyes rolled white. Then another face beside it, and another. Eddie stumbled back and radioed again. "Control, I've got movement in a closed store." Static. Then a warped voice came through. "Lawson, get out of there. We see you. You're not supposed to be in that wing." He froze. "What do you mean?" No answer. Just the hiss of dead air. The faces behind the glass began to move, jerky, puppet-like, pressing their hands against the window until cracks formed. The glass bulged outward as if the mannequins inside were breathing. Eddie turned and ran down the hall, flashlight beam shaking across broken tiles. He reached the old maintenance door, kicked it open, and stumbled into the stairwell. The metal door slammed behind him. His radio crackled again, a calm voice this time. "Lawson, report your location. Lower stairwell. Power's out. I need backup." "Copy that. We've got your camera feed." "Camera feed? The system's down." "No, it's live. We're looking right at you, but you're standing at the main entrance." His flashlight trembled. "That's impossible. I'm..." A sound above him stopped his breath. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming down the stairs. When he looked up, someone stood at the top landing. Same uniform, same face. His own face, only this one's eyes glowed orange under the flickering light. Eddie backed away, heart pounding, and the door at the bottom burst open. The whispers poured in, surrounding him, growing louder until it became a single droning chant. Midnight, forever. He tried the next door, then another, all locked. The flashlight flickered out. The whispers stopped. When the lights finally came back hours later, first responders found shattered glass at the main entrance, but no crowd, no guards, no shoppers. Just mannequins standing in perfect lines down the hall, all facing the exit. Each one molded in the exact likeness of the people who'd entered. And on every security camera, the timestamp looped endlessly between 11:59 and 12 a.m. The Brightmart Electronics Superstore opened at 5 a.m. sharp. At least, that was the plan. By 4:30, the parking lot looked like a concert venue. Hundreds of people packed shoulder to shoulder, their breath steaming in the cold. Some had tents. Others stood clutching coffee cups, muttering about getting a 65-inch TV for $199. Inside, the staff could hear them through the glass. The tapping, the chanting, the tension. Jenna Reyes, a part-time worker and single mom, was on her second overnight shift of the week. She'd been told her job was simple. Stand near the entrance, keep people calm, and don't open the doors until her manager gave the signal. But her manager, Mr. Feldman, was hiding in the back office, already on his third energy drink. He kept mumbling to himself about how much corporate had invested in this revival event. Jenna looked at the time, 4:55. The glass doors shook as people pressed forward. She could see their faces now, anxious, desperate, wild-eyed. Someone pounded hard enough to leave a handprint. "Hey," Jenna whispered into her radio, "they're pushing the line. Can we get another body up front?" Static. Then Feldman's voice crackled through. 5 more minutes. Cameras aren't rolling yet." She turned to her co-worker, Marcus, a college kid who'd been stacking game consoles by the register. "You hear that?" 5 more minutes. He laughed nervously. They're not going to wait 5 minutes. He was right. At 4:58, the crowd started chanting, "Open, open, open!" Then, a sound Jenna would never forget, a sharp, cracking pop. The glass door spiderwebbed, then caved in under the pressure. The crowd surged like a wave. The first person through hit the tile hard. The second tripped over them. Then came dozens more, shouting, screaming, metal racks crashing to the ground. Jenna tried to pull someone up but was shoved backward into a display of headphones. The alarms blared. Feldman's voice screamed over the intercom, "Everybody, stay calm, everyone stay," then static. Marcus grabbed Jenna by the arm and yanked her behind the counter. "We've got to get to the stock room." They pushed through the aisles as the chaos grew. Shoppers were tearing through boxes, shouting over each other, slipping on broken glass. Someone set off a fire extinguisher, fogging the air into a white haze. By the time they reached the back hallway, the lights flickered and went out completely. The store fell silent. For a few seconds, all Jenna could hear was her heartbeat. Then, one voice, low, angry. "Where's the deal? It was supposed to be here." Then another voice answered, deeper, distorted. "It's in the back." She turned her flashlight on. The hallway stretched ahead, lined with closed doors. Every door handle had a tag hanging from it. Doorbuster Deal written in bold red letters. "Was that here before?" Marcus whispered. "No." They followed the corridor, each tag identical. When Jenna touched one, it crumbled to dust. The next door down began to rattle. Something thumped behind it, slow and heavy. Marcus reached for the handle, but Jenna grabbed his wrist. "Don't!" Too late. He opened it. Inside was the same store aisle, identical but empty, no people, no sound, just rows of untouched boxes under dim orange light. Marcus stepped through. "What the hell?" The door slammed shut behind him. Jenna screamed and pulled at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Her radio crackled again. Feldman's voice. "Jenna, don't go near the deals. They're not real. Leave the building." "What? Where's Marcus?" "He's gone." The doorbusters aren't sales. They're traps. The line went dead. Behind her, the other doors began to shake violently now. Each one rattled against its frame, tags falling off, lights flickering red. A deep groan echoed through the vents above, something alive moving in the walls. Jenna bolted down the hallway, shoes slapping wet tile. She burst through the emergency exit into the freezing morning air, gasping. The sun was barely rising. But when she turned around, the Brightmart building wasn't there. In its place stood a massive, empty parking lot. No lights, no signs, just rows of abandoned carts. Her hands were bleeding, her uniform torn, and the tag she'd grabbed by accident still hung from her wrist. It read, "Doorbuster Deal. One return only." Later that morning, police received dozens of calls from customers' families claiming their relatives had never come home from the sale. But when they checked the location, the property had been vacant since 2018, demolished after a fatal stampede that killed 6 people. Kayla McBride hated working overnight shifts, but triple pay for Black Friday was hard to turn down. The Megamart Supercenter ran its doors 24 hours that week, and Kayla pulled register duty from midnight until 8. By 2:15 a.m., her voice was hoarse from repeating the same line. "Did you find everything you needed tonight?" The store looked like a war zone. Carts overturned, glittery boxes ripped open, half-eaten snacks on the shelves. Still, something about that night felt off. The air conditioning blew too cold, the lights flickered in slow pulses, and every so often the intercom whispered static that almost sounded like words. At 2:47 a.m., the first glitch happened. A man approached her register with a huge TV in his cart. The barcode wouldn't scan. Kayla typed the item manually. Nothing. Then the screen flashed, "Price check, aisle 13. She frowned. Megamart didn't have an aisle 13. The store ended at 12, then jumped to garden and patio. Sir?" she said. "I think the system's bugging. We don't—" But when she looked up, the man was gone. The cart, the TV, everything. The next customer stepped forward like nothing happened. Kayla rubbed her eyes. Sleep deprivation, she told herself. But when she glanced at the floor, she saw wet footprints leading away from her register. Dark, oily, and disappearing toward the back of the store. She called her manager, Tom, on the radio. "Hey, something weird's going on at Register 4. The system's sending customers to aisle 13. "Aisle what?" Tom chuckled. "You're overtired. Grab a coffee." But curiosity got the better of her. During her 15-minute break, she decided to see for herself. She followed the footprints past toys, then through home appliances. The store was quiet now. Too quiet. She reached the far corner near the clearance TVs and froze. A sign hung from the ceiling. Aisle 13, clearance event. The lettering wasn't printed. It was hand-painted, dripping black like wet ink. Rows of stacked televisions lined both sides. Each screen flickered static. She felt drawn to one of them, the largest on the end cap. When she got close, the static shifted into an image, herself, standing there, flashlight in hand. Then the camera panned, showing something moving behind her. Kayla spun around. Nothing. Just flickering lights and aisles stretching into darkness. She turned back to the TV, the image now zoomed on her face, eyes wide, breathing hard. The intercom above her crackled to life. "Price check, on aisle 13. The voice wasn't human. It dragged each word like metal scraping metal. The televisions all turned on at once, hundreds of them, each showing different camera angles of the store. Customers frozen mid-motion, employees standing still like mannequins, and Kayla in the center, watching herself from every direction. She backed up. The exit sign at the end of the aisle flickered. When she reached it, she found the hallway beyond twisted, longer than it should be. Fluorescent lights buzzed in a rhythm that almost sounded like footsteps. Her radio hissed again, Tom's voice. "Kayla? You still on break?" Cameras just showed movement near. Wait, what the hell? Static. The lights shut off completely. She pulled out her phone for light. The flashlight beam barely reached the floor. The TVs behind her kept humming. Somewhere deep in the dark, she heard boxes toppling, then slow breathing that wasn't hers. "Who's there?" she whispered. No answer. Just a faint click, like a scanner beeping. Then the voice again, right beside her ear. "Found everything you needed tonight?" She screamed and ran. The aisles stretched endlessly, looping back on themselves. Every corner led to more televisions, more static, more versions of herself sprinting through the maze. Finally, she crashed into a metal shelf and blacked out. When morning shift arrived, Kayla's register light was still on, but she was gone. Security footage showed her leaving for break at 2:53 a.m. and never returning. In the footage from the back corner, the empty space where aisle 13 should have been now displayed new TVs, each showing a looping clip of Kayla scanning items, smiling politely, repeating the same line over and over. "Did you find everything you needed tonight?" The store's layout maps were later checked. Megamart, officially, has never had an aisle 13. The Home Harbor Supply Store was empty by 11 p.m. Aisles dark, forklifts parked, and the loudspeaker playing its lonely closing message. 5 employees made up the overnight crew that night. Derek, the floor lead Ava, inventory, Lance and Tori, stockers, and Miguel, who manned the back loading dock. Their job was simple: restock the power tools, clean the aisles, and prep for the 6 a.m. Black Friday opening. By midnight, everything felt routine until the pounding started. It came from the front entrance. Derek looked up from the handheld scanner. Through the glass doors, he could see a figure standing outside, not moving, just waiting. The parking lot was dark except for the flickering sign that read, "Black Friday, Doorbusters start at dawn." He pressed the intercom button. "Sorry, store's closed until 6. The figure didn't respond. Then, slowly, it raised its hand and knocked again, 3 times, hard. Tori shivered. "Probably a customer camping out early." Derek frowned. "Then why's their car off?" He checked the feed from the security camera. The monitor glitched, static. When it cleared, the parking lot was empty. No one there. He shook his head. Weird, must have been a reflection. They went back to work. Around 12:30, the air conditioning kicked on, or at least that's what Derek thought. But it wasn't air, it was breathing. From the next aisle over, Ava whispered, "Derek? Did you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Someone's whispering by the paint section." He rounded the corner. No one there. The paint aisle was long, lit by a single flickering bulb. The shelves creaked softly, as if someone had just brushed past. Miguel came over the radio. Boss? You'd better come to the dock. We've got movement outside." When Derek reached the back, Miguel was pale. The loading bay door was shaking like someone was pounding from the other side. "You see anyone?" "No. Cameras are dead again." The pounding stopped. Silence. Then, bang. The emergency exit door across the room swung open by itself. A cold gust swept through the dock, carrying with it the faint smell of wet cement. Tori muttered, "Maybe the storm's picking up." Derek locked the door, double-checked it, then turned back toward the store floor. That's when he saw the footprints, muddy and barefoot, leading away from the loading bay, one after another toward the main aisles. "All right," he said, voice trembling. "Everyone meet at the front. We're sticking together." They gathered near customer service under the dim orange lights. The store felt alive. The overhead signs swayed slightly even though there was no draft. Lance tried to joke. Maybe it's the Black Friday ghost trying to get early deals. No one laughed. Then the lights went out. Total darkness. The generator failed with a loud click. Only the glowing green exit signs remained. The radios crackled. Then a new voice came through, distorted and low. "Clean up on aisle 4. Derek froze. That wasn't any of them. "Who is this?" "Identify yourself." "Clean up on aisle 4, it repeated, louder this time, followed by static and the sound of someone dragging metal across tile. Tori shined her flashlight toward aisle 4, the power tool section. The shelves were overturned. A box cutter lay on the floor, and at the far end of the aisle stood a man, barefoot, wearing a cracked Home Harbor vest from an older logo. His name badge read, "Gavin, Inventory Team." But Derek remembered Gavin. He'd died 3 years ago after a fall from the mezzanine. The man looked up, face pale and eyes glassy. He opened his mouth and whispered, "You're late for your shift." Every light in the aisle exploded at once, a shower of sparks and shattered glass. The crew scattered. Ava screamed as something grabbed her arm and yanked her backward into the dark. Miguel ran for the dock, but when he threw the door open, he found nothing. Just the same parking lot looping infinitely under the orange lamps, as if the world had folded in on itself. Derek sprinted toward the front exit. His keycard wouldn't work. Behind him, whispers filled the aisles, overlapping voices of former employees, all saying the same words: "Restock before dawn. Restock before dawn." He turned one last time. The store was glowing red now, every aisle sign flickering like fire. Figures in old uniforms pushed empty carts in slow motion, their heads snapping toward him as he backed away. When he finally burst through the glass doors, it was daylight. The parking lot was full of cars again. Customers were lined up outside, holding coffee cups, smiling, waiting for the sale to start. He turned around. The store behind him looked perfectly normal. Lights bright, aisles clean, not a single thing out of place. A new employee stood at the door, greeting customers. Her vest was crisp, her badge new. It read, "Derek, Floor Lead." Police later found an abandoned car behind the store that matched Derek's registration. But security footage from that night showed nothing unusual, just 5 employees calmly restocking until 5:59 a.m. Then, one frame before the footage cut, all 5 looked up at the camera, smiling. By the end of Black Friday, the Hollow Pines department store looked like it had survived a war. The linoleum floors were sticky, sale banners torn, and one of the cash registers had literally been ripped off the counter. Carla Jensen, the closing manager, was the only one still there. The store shut at midnight, but cleanup always took hours. She liked the silence, the faint hum of the refrigerators, the sound of the neon exit sign buzzing like a trapped insect. She'd worked Black Fridays for 10 years. Nothing scared her anymore. Not the fights, not the stampedes, not even the occasional thief. But tonight felt different. The lights dimmed unevenly, and her phone kept losing service. At 12:43 a.m., she started counting the drawers. Checkout 1 through 8 were balanced perfectly. Then she reached register 9, the one they hadn't used all day. When she opened the till, there was a receipt inside, just one. The timestamp read 12:43 a.m., the exact time on her watch. The receipt listed a single purchase. 1. Black Friday deal, no refunds. Total $0. Carla frowned. Funny, she muttered, tearing it off. Then the register beeped. Another receipt printed. Same line item, same timestamp. She unplugged the machine. It printed another one anyway. Okay, not funny, she whispered. The lights above her flickered, and somewhere in the distance an intercom popped on. Not the current store voice, but the old one from before the remodel. Attention Hollow Pine shoppers, all sales are final. She turned slowly toward the sound. The entire front aisle stretched empty, every checkout lane dark except for number 9, its light still glowing faint orange. When she walked toward it, the temperature dropped. Her breath fogged in the air. Another receipt printed. She picked it up. This one had a name on it. Customer E. Lawson. She paused. That name sounded familiar. Maybe from a news story. She looked again. The timestamp had changed to 12:44 a.m. She tore the paper, but as soon as she dropped it, another came out, then another. Each one listed a different name. Jenna Reyes, Kayla McBride, Derek Shaw. She froze. Every name had a total of $0. Every timestamp matched her clock, printing in real time. Carla backed away. What the hell is this? The intercom hissed again. Clean up on register 9. She looked down. Her shoes were wet. The floor beneath the counter was dark, rippling like water. The reflection in the puddle wasn't hers. It was another woman standing where she was, same uniform, smiling. Except this one's eyes were pitch black. The reflection raised its hand. Carla's didn't. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Hello? Static, then a faint whisper. You forgot to clock out. The line went dead. Behind her, the exit door locked with a loud click. The security shutters rolled down one by one. She was trapped. The register printed another receipt, this time blank except for one line. Employee transaction complete. She turned toward the office to cut the power, but the aisles had changed. The store layout was wrong. Instead of home goods and clothing, the shelves were filled with old cash registers, all identical, each one with a glowing orange number 9. The floor stretched endlessly in both directions, no walls in sight. Carla ran. Her footsteps echoed louder than they should have. The buzzing overhead turned into whispers, hundreds of voices overlapping, the same names she'd seen on the receipts. She tripped and fell. The receipts scattered everywhere, fluttering like snow. On each one, the ink shifted until they all spelled her name. Carla Jensen. 12:49 a.m. Total $0. She screamed, but her voice came out through the intercom. Attention shoppers, we hope you found everything you needed tonight. The registers beeped in unison. The orange lights flared bright, then darkness. When morning staff arrived, the doors were unlocked, and the store looked untouched. Register 9, however, showed one transaction processed overnight. Time-stamped 12:50 a.m. with no cashier assigned. The security feed for that lane was corrupted, but analysts later noticed something strange. For one frame, a reflection appeared in the register glass. a woman's face staring straight into the camera, smiling. The following week, Hollow Pines quietly renumbered its registers. The old number 9 was removed completely. But every year, on Black Friday, the store reports the same glitch at exactly 12:50 a.m. A receipt prints with a single line item: employee transaction complete.